My name is Michael Fritzkapps. I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota, and I also live in St. Paul, Minnesota. I have always loved plants. I've been doing like landscaping type work during the summertime here in Minnesota for the last decade or so, mostly taking care of my grandmother's house. So that's sort of where my love started, gardening with my grandmother and with my mom and stuff like that. And then, yeah, just always been interested in working in the cannabis industry. I've been a medical user for well over a decade. Most of my childhood I spent outside on my bike, riding around with my friends, getting into various different forms of trouble. So I would say those are probably my fondest memories, to be fair. Just thinking in terms of things that were the most fun, you know what I mean? And I did eventually kind of turn that into the beginnings of a career. I started racing, kind of trying to pursue doing that as a profession. And then I got really hurt and blew my shoulder out and had to stop playing sports, essentially. I had a double dislocation on my left shoulder. One summer I blew it out the front and then I blew it out the back. So I tore pretty much all of the ligaments that are supposed to keep it, held in. And when I got done with my surgery, the doctors were like, hey, we just pretty much completely tore your shoulder apart and put a bunch of screws and threads in there and a bunch of foreign objects that aren't supposed to be there. So you're probably going to hurt for a pretty long time. So they gave me a prescription for adult-sized Percocet tablets. And of course, because I was in a crazy amount of pain, I took them. And they just didn't do anything for me. They just made me feel really loopy and, super out of it, but my shoulder still hurt the whole time. So I stopped taking them and started, not just smoking on the weekend with my friends for fun. Started really researching into the actual, medicinal properties of it and whatnot. And I was like, well, all the guys that I race with that are all, training to be X Games athletes and Olympians and this, that, and the other, they all say that this stuff works. So I mean, they must be onto something. You know what I mean? They're all still in one piece and fully functional and out here ripping every day. So I gave it a try and they turned out to be right. I discovered PIT from an Instagram ad. I'm just not really at a point in my life where it would make sense to go to be, on campus somewhere full time for schooling, but I am at a place in my life where it makes sense to get a college education now because there's something that I actually, care about that makes sense to put the time and the effort into. And now that it's, an actual viable business to work in my state where I wouldn't have to, uproot my life and relocate somewhere, it finally made sense to jump into it. Yeah, I don't think I could recommend PIT anymore. I've had a very, very enjoyable experience. I feel like I've learned a ton, and not just useless information that I can tell to people when I'm out at the bars, but stuff that's actually going to benefit me in the career field that I'm trying to get into. I wouldn't be pursuing higher education right now if it weren't for the online option. The schedule works really nice for me. It's very flexible. I'm lucky where I'm able to attend all the live lectures when they happen, but even if you're not able to do that, it's still very easy to follow. The workload is reasonable. The teachers are super helpful. I had to go for tutoring for the first time in my entire scholastic career for one of my math classes, and it was super helpful, and I ended up getting a 99% in that class. The teachers are great. They're helpful. They're happy to help you. They want to see you succeed. Yeah, I don't think I could recommend it anymore. It's been great. I've had a great time so far. The people of Minnesota are very kind, very warm, very friendly, very, very inviting. They're always happy to see their people, you know what I mean? And I think that it's very important to try to kind of keep that same kind of, mindset or ethos or whatever when it does come into, working in the cannabis industry. There's so much, fake news, misinformation, whatever you want to call it, about cannabis as a whole that has existed for such a long time that people kind of think it to be fact now, you know what I mean? And it's our job as, stewards of the plant to dispel that, but to do it in a way that is, like I said, kind and caring and empathetic, and not coming from a holier than thou place. The vision is to eventually someday have an all-in-one, all-contained, single source operation, right? So one building that has the growing room and the drying and curing room and the processing room and the storefront room and the education room and everything all at one place. I want to be able to do like educational classes someday, because that's one of my big gripes with the industry, I guess you will say, is it's a two-sided thing. It's one, there's so much gatekeeping of information, of genetics, of everything that you could imagine, right? Coupled with those same people who are doing that gatekeeping complaining about the quality of the weed that's on the market right now. You know what I'm saying? So like, I want to try to, be the change that you want to see in the world or whatever, and get some useful information out into people's hands that actually want it, right? So that they can grow some nice products for themselves as well. I'm very aware that the information can be kind of daunting to go over, and it can be kind of heavy, right? So like, cultivating a space where people can get the information that they need to have to be making informed decisions about what they're choosing to put in their body, I think is really important as well. And that kind of is like my same goal for like the whole industry, to be fair. You know what I mean? Is to just get away from, and I know it's a corporate business, so it's sort of hard to do that, but get away from, encouraging your tenders to be meeting margins, and encourage them to be, educating people to make smart, informed purchases.